Right to a channel of light fluid. Once again we return to Echo. It has been a while, so we were on Flynn's route, and if you remember, we just had the party for Carl's birthday, and Flynn and Chase decided to do something different, so Flynn's going to do some cooking. Let's pick things up there. Flynn's house is a ranch-style adobe home. He moved here only a few years ago, so it's my first time seeing it. That's an alright place. Housemate's quiet and keeps to himself, so it's almost like I have it to myself. You got a housemate? Well, yeah. Don't need the whole house. Saves a decent amount of money, too. You pull in next to a kind of foreign-looking faded yellow scooter. He's new to Echo. You'll probably like him. He's a big fucking nerd. I hop out, the pavement warm against my pads even though the sun is setting. Looks nice. Kind of like a smaller version of Carl's house. Carl's mansion, you mean? On the way up to the door, I feel his thick tail bump against my own, though it's soft enough that I'm not sure if it's on purpose. As we go inside, I'm hit with a blast of warm air that's not much different from the what's outside. I air out my shirt. Flynn notices and chuckles. Sorry, you better get used to it if you want to hang around with a keeler. As I follow Flynn to the kitchen, the smell is a bit strange as well. Kind of like sagebrush, which isn't a bad thing at all. You, Flynn? Yeah, I have a friend over. Oh, one of your reunion friends. Flynn opens the fridge. Only green peppers left. I hear a sliding door from the hallway and turn around to a somewhat startling sight. A tall lizard comes in. It's not his height that surprises me, but rather his colouring, spotted blue with pale eyes. I then realise he's a salamander, not a reptile. I suppose I'd seen brightly coloured amphibians in Pueblo, but definitely not Echo and not even in Peyton. There's a smile on his face, and I try hard not to stare. Dax, this is Chase. Hello, Chase. Hi. I reach out to his offered hand for feeling the cool, almost slippery sensation of his skin. Yeah, sorry. I know you guys aren't used to salamanders around here. I cringe inwardly as I realise he caught me staring like a dumbass. Oh no, I don't mind. Mind me being a salamander? I'm mortified, but he's still smiling. Alright, Chase, enough making a fool out of yourself. Flynn is tossing ingredients onto the counter. Peppers, cheese, eggs. He can't help it if he's not used to it. Well, he's always bragging about going to college. Sometimes it serves you better if you just get out more. I'm not sure what to say at this point, but Dax saves me having to try. Oh, please. Daxton sits next to me on a stool, that warm smile still plastered to his face. Yeah, Flynn here was trying to sweet-talk a hyena a few months back. I see Flynn tense up before he turns around, pointing a knife threateningly at the salamander. Don't you dare. Refer to him as a canine. Like, isn't that something basic you learn in school? Wow, Flynn, really? Flynn turns back around with a huff. Sometimes I get shit. He's trying to play it off, but I can see the frills on the back of his head flaring out. I didn't care anyway. We're fucked, so fuck off. Daxton rolls his eyes before getting up and airing out his shirt like I did earlier. Well, I'm going back to my side of the house. It's a frickin' sauna over here. He pats me on the shoulder as he passes. Nice meeting you, Chase. I watch as he heads back down the hallway, sliding shut the door. It's colder on that side of the house? Yeah, you'll have it at residence. I look longingly over at Dax's side of the house. Get your ass over here so I can teach you how to cook something. The next hour was surprisingly fun, even though half of it is spent with Flynn yelling at me about how wrong I'm doing stuff. He calls it chiles rellenos, peppers filled with cheese and meat and covered in egg before being fried. I have to agree with Flynn that it's way better than the diner food, even though food over there is still pretty good. When we finish, Flynn dumps the dishes in the sink with a clatter before snatching me up by the arm. Hey! Shut up, Chase. I frown but allow myself to be dragged down the hallway to what I presume is the lizard's room. It's small and simple. What I'm most focused on is the fairly large bed. He pulls me in to make room to shut the door before pressing me back against it and kiss me full on the mouth. I open my mouth the moment his tongue prods at my lips. I'm not used to the feeling of something so thin and flexible sliding into my mouth, but it's not a bad feeling. His long tongue easily entangles my smaller one. At the same time, his hands grab the bottom of my shirt and pulls it over my head, breaking our kiss. As I lean back against the wall, Flynn's eyes play over my body, clearly drinking it in. I narrow my eyes. Hey, you've already seen me naked. I reach forward, undoing his belt with quick, jerky movements. Flynn doesn't resist, instead stands there, smirking down at me. I give him a smirk in return as I rest my hands on his hips, before slowly sliding them down, pushing the pants down with them. As his tail slides out of the rear, I move my hands around to feel his ass as the pants slide further down. His thick tail twitches in response before I squeeze his soft rear, earning a gasp from the lizard. I'm so preoccupied with his backside I almost forget the front. You don't really think what you did to the river was appropriate. Ow! I cringe as Flynn pinches my nipple. He doesn't say anything though, and we lay in silence for a while longer. Sydney didn't deserve that. I swallow. No. I mean, I know he was a dick, but he came from a rough place. I just listen, not wanting to say something wrong. Flynn never opened up like this. You guys didn't know him like I did. I stop rubbing and turn my head up to look at Flynn. His eyes are open, staring up at the ceiling. Chase, I need to find out what happened. Flynn. No, I'm sick of wondering. I'm sick of imagining. He looks down at me suddenly and the expression on his face is strange. I'm going to talk to him again. Who, TJ? I hear my voice rise in concern. He doesn't say anything. Flynn. I sit up. Don't do that. He glares at me. Yeah, why not? This is probably the last chance I'll get. But I try to think of something to say. Nothing good will come out of it. If he hasn't said anything until now, then he probably never will. I'll see about that. The implication in his voice sends a chill down my spine. Flynn! The lizard looks away from me. What? I'm not going to do anything. Just talk. And if he doesn't say anything? Flynn stares at the wall. I guess that's that. I want to talk to him without Leo there to coddle him like he's some little kid. I put my face in my hands and rub slowly. I know Flynn would never want to hurt TJ, but he can get so emotional. What if TJ says the wrong thing? Just let me go with you when you do. Flynn turns his head to look back at me. Why? I just want to be there to keep things grounded. Flynn stares hard at me. Maybe. He likes you, so maybe that'll be good. He continues to stare at me and I feel a little uncomfortable. What? Just have to promise one thing. What? I say it a little bit more slowly. Don't get in the way. Don't try to defend him if he's acting all sad and shit. I look back at him, unsure of what I'll say. I don't want TJ to get hurt, just the thought of this confrontation is making me feel sick. But I don't want him to be alone when this happens either. Thought of telling one of the others, Jenna or Leo comes to mind, but I know that'll be a fucking catastrophe if I do. That would be the end of a lot of friendships. This still left a chance that they would survive. Either way, I'm going to have to promise him if I want a chance to go along. But whether or not I keep that promise... How could I not stand up for TJ if it goes too far? TJ is sensitive. If Flynn gets a chance to go at him completely undefended... Yeah, okay. Flynn's eyes narrow. I feel my heart skip a beat. Does he know I'm lying? His eyes are so piercing it's like he's looking through me to try and find something that's behind me. Finally, Flynn lays his head back and closes his eyes. Good. I'm going to go to the bathroom, maybe take a shower. Alright. I get up on unsteady feet and head into the hallway, wondering if I should try... What's wrong with you? I open my eyes blearily, waking up to the sound of something pounding in the distance. I stare at the ceiling a moment, then abruptly prop myself up on my elbows, looking around, confused. Where the hell? Oh yeah, Flynn's room. I'd fallen asleep on Flynn's bed, naked after I'd taken a shower. Turns out the lizards don't have dryers, so I was left to air dry. I was tired, so Flynn had let me lay out on his bed on a few towels, and that's where I am right now. Guess I fell asleep. Again, the pounding. I look over to my right and see Flynn curled up, his back facing me. I think he's naked as well for a moment, then I see he's got boxer briefs on, the black colour blending in with his skin. I reach over to poke the rough skin of his scaly back. The frills on the back of his neck flare out for a second, then lay back down. I almost do it again, but Flynn's grumpy, annoyed as hell tone stops me. What? I clear my throat. Sorry, but it sounds like... I don't have to say because the pounding starts back up again, echoing up the hallway. What the fuck? Flynn pushes himself up into a sitting position, squinting the hallway through the door. What time is it? Flynn rolls off the bed and starts putting on a shirt. I grab my phone, glad to see that it's still at half charge. It's 9. At the same time I notice I have texts, several of them. From Leo. Shit. What? Flynn hops around the room as he tries to pull on some pants. My eyes scan over the text, realising who it likely is that's knocking on the door. The messages started about 2 hours ago. Hey, it's at the motel and you aren't there. Jenna says she doesn't know where you are either. She says you didn't spend the night there. You're and Flynn the only ones not answering my messages. Are you at his house? Hello? I feel my stomach go into a knot. Fuck. Flynn whirls on me, annoyed, now fully dressed. The knocking has stopped, but I'm still uneasy about what I've just found out. I think it's Leo. What? This time Flynn sounds panicked. He's been texting me all morning. He thinks I'm here now. I show Flynn my screen, but he barely looks at it. He's got his arms folded, his mind clearly racing. You know he can't find out I spent the night here. I try to keep my voice under control. I know. Yeah, we both know. Things are basically over between Leo and I. But it doesn't change the fact this will bring up all kinds of problems in our little friend group. Flynn paces for a few seconds, then turns back to me. Well, he's gone now. I can just get Carl to say that you spent the night at his... He already texted Carl. Shit. Flynn groans and hangs back his head. Well, did he ask him if he spent the night there? No, just he didn't know where I am. At least that's what he said in the text. I was telling him I don't know and Carl can say you were there. Don't you think Carl would have told? Flynn suddenly reaches out, grabbing my shoulder and throwing me sideways onto the bed. I stare at him, wide-eyed, but he's not looking at me. Instead, he's staring at the window behind me. What? He throws his hand out into my face, silencing me. Flynn moves to the window. That's when I notice the big shadow shifting around out there. I scrambled the other side of the bed, heart hammering in my chest. Did he see me? The curtains covering most of the window. The foot-long gap at the end is just enough to look in. Flynn starts pantomiming in front of the window, shrugging his shoulders and shaking his head. Finally drops his arms with a sigh and leans in to crack the window open. What the hell are you doing? Why the hell didn't you answer your door? Leo's voice is angry. Honestly, a lot more angry than I'd have expected, despite the situation. I just woke up. I was knocking for like 5 fucking minutes. I'm a heavy sleeper. You're dressed and everything. I just got dressed. Most people don't go peeking into windows when they don't get an answer, though. Flynn glares through the window. I quietly roll off the bed so I can hide better, even if I'm not in view of the window from here. Alright. Listen, I'm just looking for Chase. Have you seen him? No. Flynn shifts his position a bit, in my direction as if trying to block Leo's view. Looking for something? Yeah, Chase. I ain't here. Why would he be? He stayed behind with the other party, didn't he? Yeah, then round to do some project or something. There's a long pause. Oh, Shika. Can I come in for a sec? I need a drink. Well, go back to your house, man. You're saying you don't want me to come in? Flynn sighs loudly, rubbing his eyes. I'm saying I'm tired. It's 10 in the fucking morning. It's 9, but yeah, sometimes I stay up late. Why? Flynn lowers his hand from his eyes and glares out at Leo. Listen, I'm not really in the mood for this right now. Another long pause. You're acting a little crazy right now, too. Listen, I've got my wife and just come in for a bit. I'm fucking burning up. I see Flynn push his forehead against the glass, eyes closed, frustration written all over his face. Alright, glass of water and get out so I can go back to sleep. Fine. With that, Flynn closes the window, watching for a while before sighing loudly again. Alright, stay here, got it? If he knows you're here, we both know he'll kill us both. Yeah. Alright, for whatever reason he comes back here, hide under the fucking bed if you have to. With that, Flynn turns and heads out the door into the hallway. That last thing he said has me feeling like shit. Sneaking around behind Leo's back like this is wrong. Even if I know telling him about it would be worse. Is it my fault that Leo can't get over our relationship? I have the right to do what I want, right? I sigh and press my forehead into the bed. Staring at my crotch, that's when I realise I'm still naked. I look up, listening. I hear the front door open, followed by some distant mumbling from Leo. If I sneak to the bathroom real quick, I can grab my clothes. Maybe stay there until Leo leaves. At least that way it won't look as bad if he finds me for whatever reason. I get up and pad quietly to the hall, listening. I can hear some clinking around in the kitchen, then the murmur of some voices. The kitchen is practically out of sight from the hall, which leads to the living room. I stand there for a moment longer, tail twitching as I contemplate if this is a good idea or not. The moment I hear Leo's voice coming from the kitchen area again, I quickly tiptoe the short distance to the bathroom. Despite not having come close at all to being caught, my heart still hammers in my chest. The voices continue to mumble in the kitchen as I start looking around for my clothes. They're folded neatly on the counter and I quickly snatch them up. Pretty sure I wouldn't. Smell on you. I catch a few words from Leo that makes my ears perk. Something about smell? Leo smells a lot of things. It's a canine's nose. My eyes widen. Did he smell me on Flynn? I'm pretty sure Flynn hasn't showered since what we did yesterday. My heart rate picks up again as I feel my knees wanting to give out. Where the fuck are you going? This time I do hear Flynn, I know exactly what it means. The only problem is that I'm still naked in the fucking bathroom. Should I lock the door? Then Leo would definitely know someone's here and it's probably me. Fuck. I mouth the word, knowing that Leo would hear if I said it now. I hear heavy footsteps coming up the hall. I definitely can't go back to the room and hide under the bed now. They don't keep coming toward the bathroom though. The movements become somewhat muffled again as they turn into Flynn's room. This is fucking crazy, Leo. Leo heard Flynn. He doesn't say anything. I anticipate the sounds of Leo ripping up Flynn's room, but I guess he isn't that far gone, so things go quiet again. Then there's some pacing around along with heavy breathing. Guys, I could call the cops, right? I hear the closet door open. I look around desperately, realising I don't have much time. The first thing I see is a shower curtain in the bathtub. It's a see-through blue colour, so there's no way I can stand behind it and not be seen. I hear shifting around in the other room again, and their bickering becomes more clear as they step back into the hall. Panicking and practically numb with fear, I crouch down and pull open a cupboard under the sink. Amazing, there are only a few bottles of cleaning solutions, leaving plenty of room for me to squeeze in. As quietly as I can, I crawl into the opening. Reaching back out, I pull the door closed, setting my other hand against it as I do so it won't spring shut. Everything goes dark and their voices become muffled once again. I back up against the very back of the enclosure, hugging my knees as I try to keep my breathing quiet. It's actually a little while before they come into the bathroom. I almost jump as Leo's voice booms in the small space. The smell is all over your fucking house. And you should probably shower more. There's a small silence. Imagine that Leo just gave him a look that shattered any surly confidence he might have had. Like I said, he was here for like an hour yesterday. Well, why didn't you fucking tell me that earlier? Because I knew you'd be acting like this. Seriously. Their footsteps shift again in time with their voices muffling. I dare to let out a small sigh of relief. I can still hear them arguing, but I don't really care enough. You pass through the cupboard door into the bathroom. You follow the voices down the hall into the kitchen. Leo is on his way to the door. He stops in front of it, turning back around to Flynn, who's following close behind. You're really starting to piss me off, Flynn. And you're already starting to freak me out, Leo. All of that doesn't explain why his smell is all over you. Flynn works his jaw for a moment, eyes narrowed. Wait, roughhouse a little bit by the mine. By the mine. You know how you get sometimes. It's really hot. Leo is shaking his head like he's tired of listening to what Flynn has to say, like he's tired of everything. And then have it mixed with that smell. Flynn throws his hands up, exasperated. I joked off later. Sorry, it's really ain't any of your business. You know, it kind of fucking is since I planned this entire fucking thing. Leo's starting to lose his temper again. You know this isn't like Leo at all. Calm down, Jesus. Maybe he went off to do some more research or whatever. Said it wasn't done at the mine. At the mine. Leo's not listening anymore. He's looking to the side, staring at the wall, hackles raised. Listen, I'll drive around town real quick to see if I can find him for work, alright? Flynn, you know he ruined this whole thing for me, right? Thing? For you? What are you talking about? I'll be fucking damned if I let you do it again. The anger and spite in Leo's face is scaring Flynn. Leo, what's going on? But Leo still isn't listening. The wolf turns sharply away, yanking open the door. Leo! Flynn reaches out, resting a hand on Leo's shoulder. But at that moment the wolf throws an elbow back into Flynn, so hard the lizard is sent stumbling back several steps before falling to his knees. Flynn lets out a hoarse groan, but Leo ignores it, slamming their door shut on his way out. Flynn stays like that, doubled over on the carpet, making soft rasping noises before his breathing finally comes under his control. He stays there a while longer, absorbing what just happened, knowing that Leo isn't himself either. He also regrets doing anything with Chase. Finally, he looks up, right at you. You decide to leave. There's really no point to try and reason with him. It's been a while since you've been out alone like this. It feels good not being attached. Something about that lizard Flynn is helping this happen. You'll have to deal with him later. As you continue to walk down the dirt road, you see him. It takes a while at first because he's so far away. But then you see that thick tail waving back and forth as he approaches you. Can he see you? Probably. It's been a long time since you were attached. But the feelings, the thoughts, you can remember it like it was yesterday. The new one is better, a lot more quiet. At least, you made him quiet. It was easier to do than with this one. He keeps walking towards you, and you start to wonder if you should turn back. You always snap back eventually. Why not let this play out? Let's see how far this will go. Now that you're this close, you can see water dripping off of his body. Even after all of these years. Finally, you can make out his face. Angry. No, furious, finally seeing you again. He doesn't like what you did, and who can blame him? He starts to run towards you. You finally stop walking. Waiting. He's on you in a second, lunging, blunt claws and sharp teeth bared. I keep wondering if I should come out myself. The last time I hear any voices was like almost 5 minutes ago. Still, I realise that they could both be outside or something. I don't want to come running out if Leo decides to come back in. So I wait, starting to feel sweaty in my cramped position, my nose twitching from the strong chemical smells. I'll probably have to take another shower. After another few minutes, I hear a soft padding up the hallway. I know it's Flynn, but I wait. Another few seconds of silence goes by before Flynn finally speaks. Well, he's gone. So, how are we going to explain to Leo that Carl just forgot that I was there? I pull my shirt over my head, feeling kind of gross putting back on my musky shirt. Flynn stands in front of his dresser's mirror, having just finished putting on his tie. He's currently picking at his scales with a pair of tweezers. Carl forgets everything, especially when he gets high, which is all the time. Flynn's been acting kind of distant after the whole Leo incident. It's not hard to imagine why. I'm feeling the same way. Leo was probably finding out, that put a damper on our stupid excursions. It really put into perspective how mature we were being. Alright, so I'll say I spent the night at Carl's, then left in the morning to do some filming and came back. Flynn had told me to text all of this to Carl before I go over there. The only response I'd gotten so far was a short, "What?" We don't have any other choices. I guess not. And Chase, we probably shouldn't do this anymore. Yeah, I know. Flynn glances at me through the mirror, then returns to picking at his skin. He clears his throat. This is kind of gross, but it's fine. We've all got our gross things to deal with. I'm going to work like I got snowed on. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't ever really get that bad, but... Flynn breaks off awkwardly as he goes back to his grooming. It's weird seeing him this off. Again, it's not like it's unwarranted. I sit on the edge of his bed, texting Carl again to try and get him to at least partially understand what the plan is. After a couple of minutes, Flynn clears his throat again. Listen, Chase, you ever feel a little bit like not yourself? I look up and see the lizard is looking at me through the mirror again. He quickly turns his attention back to his picking. I don't know, like you're not fully in control of what you do. I frown. Is Flynn trying to get at something, explain his own actions? Does he feel like he wasn't in control of what happened between us? No, at least I don't think so. Flynn finally puts down the tweezers and turns to me, leaning his rear against the dresser. So you never felt like you're not yourself? Though I'm not totally sure as to what Flynn is getting at, I decide to humour him and think. I guess after what happened when we were kids, I didn't feel right. Out of Sydney? Yeah. I try to avoid talking about it directly, but Flynn doesn't seem to be bothered right now. Probably remember I saw a therapist after because I felt so different and it scared me. Flynn nods. Did they figure it out? Kind of. If I remember right, they said it was like a dissociative thing. What's that? Like, sometimes when something really traumatic happens, your mind sort of distances you from yourself to protect you. I shrug. Something like that. I'm not very good at psych stuff. I almost tell Flynn to ask Jenna, but of course he can't. So, did they fix it? Not really. I got used to it, I guess. It was like the new me. And you're okay with that? I shrug again. My therapist said that really traumatic things can change the way your brain works forever. You just learn to live with it. That doesn't sound good. No, but it's part of life. I think we all changed. Yeah. I don't go into detail about how it got worse over time. The whole not feeling like myself. I felt more and more like my personality was bleeding away. I'm a completely different person now than I was 10 years ago. It's in the back of my mind. I just wonder if that's what it's like to grow up. That you become less like you were as a kid. Happy, carefree, a complete douchebag. And turn into a hollow shell of that. I can still feel Flynn looking at me, so I decide to bring up something else that's just as uncomfortable, since we're already there. So, when you plan to talk to TJ? Flynn's silent for only a second. Saturday, the end of your trip. I'm not sure if that's the best idea. Doesn't leave much time to make amends if things turn sour. Which they most likely will. But then I guess that means we'll easily be able to just leave as soon as it's over. Okay. Flynn's still looking at me, so I abruptly stand up, run my phone back into my pocket. Anyway, you ready to go? I don't want to make you late for work. Sure. Flynn finally straightens up, walking across the room to grab his keys. I'm just glad to have somewhere to go now. Flynn feeling off like this is one of the most awkward experiences I've ever had. Probably because he's usually so good at making things not awkward. So with that, Flynn takes me to Carl's house, dropping me off before heading to work. I sit quietly next to Carl on the couch as he plays his video games. It's some kind of first-person shooter I've never seen before. You know, I'm not all into shooters, but this one is pretty good. Yeah? I try to act interested as I browse through my phone. I've already texted Leo, apologising and telling him that my phone had died. It's weird how quickly this lie has gotten out of control. I'm making things up as I go at this point, and I'm amazed at how easy it is. Leo hasn't responded. I doubt he believes any of it. Still gives both of us room to pretend, though. Yeah, man. I think there's a sci-fi elements. Could never play one of those World War shooters. Same. Carl clicks around the controller for a while longer. You alright? I sighed loudly, finally tearing my eyes away from my phone. Yeah, I'm good. Because you don't seem good. I don't respond to that, instead choosing to zone out to whatever's happening on the screen. That's where this whole story anyway, about you spending the night or whatever. I debate whether it's worth telling Carl or not. He'd go along with it either way, but keeping all of these secrets is starting to make me feel sick. Well, I spent the night at Flynn's. Leo found out I wasn't at the motel, so he came looking for me. Yeah, shit. Did you and Flynn, I let the silence hang for a while. Carl snorts. Wow. Come on, Carl. Oh, no, I don't mind. Just seems kind of weird. How so? I feel myself get defensive. I'm not really in the mood to be judged by Carl. Yeah, he's cool and everything, but his life, let alone his sex life, doesn't exactly put him in a position to do so. Oh, you just barely got here like 5 days ago and already... I sigh. You know how Flynn is. Yeah, I do. So you shouldn't be surprised. Well, I mean, we've known him since we were kids. Just feels a little bit... Carl, I'm not really in the mood right now. Carl goes quiet for a few more minutes. The clicking buttons on his controller are the only sound. Doesn't last long though. You know, I saw you guys at the river a couple of days back. I saw you too. I mean, I saw you guys. Carl, I just said I'm not in the mood. Carl shrugs. Yeah, saying I already know. That's cool. I keep quiet, hoping that'll get Carl to drop this stupid subject already. It doesn't work. But I get why you gotta keep it from Leo like this. I pull my phone out to see if I've gotten a text from Leo yet. I haven't. Me and Leo, we don't hang out all that much. Oh, I think he tries to. He talks about you a lot. I try to ignore the guilt that's steadily building up inside me. Did you smoke today? Because you've been real talkative right now. I only ask because I don't smell it. Usually it's pretty strong. Actually, I had an edible this morning. Carl giggles for a good long while after that. Oh, really? I massage my brow with a thumb and forefinger. Normally I get along great with Carl, especially when he's high. But after this morning, basically everything is getting on my nerves. I usually hate that shit. I don't know. Yes, I was bored today. Those things shoot me into fucking space. Guess it explains why you won't shut up. Hey, am I pissing you off? I immediately regret what I just said as Carl puts the game on pause. No, just had a stressful morning. But Leo. Carl starts the game back up, giggling again as he shoots a space marine in the face. Finally, a text from Leo. Good to know. Another one immediately follows. Well, let's hang out sometime soon. Well, you know, Flynn cares about you too. Yeah? I text Leo a quick affirmative. I'm not really sure when that hangout is going to happen. Yeah, wouldn't stop talking about you when you drove to the reservation. Really? That actually did seem really out of the ordinary. What the hell would Flynn have to say about me? Carl shrugs. Oh, a bunch of stuff. Wanted to buy you something from the reservation, but thought it might be too weird. Flynn buying me a gift? That is kind of weird. For Flynn, I mean. I thought it was kind of cute. What else did he say? Carl seems to think hard while he continues to shoot guys on the screen. He twists the control this way and that, bumping into my shoulder each time. Said you seem to have grown up a lot. You're way different than you were as a teenager. Yep, really cute. Carl's tone seems slightly annoyed there. I don't really care enough to ask about it. By the way, how's your project going? Being reminded I have an entire project to do doesn't ease the knot that's formed in my stomach. Not that great. Still need a lot of film and research. Oh, what kind of research? Stuff about Echo. Like, history stuff. Yep. Carl plays a while longer, then sets down his controller. Oh, my mom might have some Echo history stuff in the cellar, but... He pauses. You know, Flynn is like a records holder, right? The clerk, yeah. I already know what Carl is getting at, and honestly I want to kick myself for not thinking of it in the first place. Carl turns to me, a loopy grin on his face. Those edibles really do fuck with him. Oh, let's go get some records from him. Probably better than digging around in my basement. Well, yeah, we should. I don't even know what to get. Don't worry about it, dude. I go down there to shoot the shit with him all the time. We can ask him. Things aren't exactly cool between Flynn and I right now, but it's something to do. I'm so behind on my project at this point, I don't have any excuses. We pull into the gravel parking lot in front of City Hall. The stucco structure looks a hell of a lot more weathered than I remember it. Tarps drape the roof and one of the windows is blacked out with plastic. City Hall is probably the oldest building still standing in Echo. I read it on the county's website. It served as the town's post office back in the early 20th century. Before then, it was an outpost used in the Intelligence Operations Centre during the years leading up to the Mormon Rebellion. Government spies were planted in the nearby settlements from Colville to Peyton and delivered their reports on potential agitators at this outpost. They actually kept a priest on hand to help reaffirm the spies' faith in the true word of Christ. It's weird to think that Sydney was the last Mormon I knew. Are you sure Flynn works here? I exit my car, watching Carl stare ahead. His eyes are half-lidded, the ram seeming to stare for miles beyond the building in front of us. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Alright. Carl doesn't move. Are you going to come out? The ram blinks slowly, his maw starting to hang agape. He shifts his bloodshot gaze toward my torso. No, my parents would flip. He flops his wrist in front of him limply, his tone tinged with effeminacy. Of the car. Yeah, just give me a sec. Carl reaches down, unscrewing the lid from his water bottle and taking a few hearty glugs. When Carl grabs at Carl's door handle, he hesitates. After a moment, he looks at me. He's completely silent, seconding his cheek on one side. Carl? Finally, he speaks. Sort of agreed to come without considering I'd be talking to anyone but you and crew today. Well, the mayor and stuff. I'm still stoned as balls. I look like shit. He laughs in a self-deprecating fashion, visibly sheepish despite the THC still flowing through him. I think I might just chill you in your car, with the air conditioning hike-and tactics. He holds up his phone. I think I can just barely spot the icon for it in his sea of other game apps. Carl does look high, though he doesn't appear any worse than he usually looks. Telling him that probably wouldn't do much for his confidence, though. Carl, man. You're acting pretty sobered right now. You don't smell like weed too fiercely. At least to my otter senses. Really? Your otter senses must be pretty dull. Your BO is overpowering it. Carl hastily sniffs himself, then tries to wear out his hoodie from the bottom by flapping it up and down. I'm just messing with you. You're fine. There's some sunglasses in the glove box to cover your eyes. Carl sighs, tugging open the dash. A few crumpled receipts, my registration slip, an insurance brochure, and a pair of slightly dusty sunglasses are visible in the compartment. Oh, a tortoise shell. Isn't that kind of girly? What? Guys can wear tortoise shell style ones. It's not like polka dot or something. Oh, my mom wears these coloured sunglasses all the time. Literally can't see these without picturing her. Well, like, that's your personal thing. No one else thinks that. He slides them onto his face. They rest somewhat awkwardly on his sizable snout, able to settle in place neatly. Oh, damn it, your nose is too big. Carl pulls his shades off his face and limply tosses them in the dash, leaning back into his seat with a long exhale. Dude, I think I'd just stay in the car. Seriously. I need your help with some of this stuff, Carl. I'd feel all awkward if I was in there for hours and you just sitting here waiting for me. Oh, it's fine. I'll just get in your way. I'm not really good at this sort of research stuff. There's a difference between exploring old records for interesting info and frantically searching for stuff online the night before a paper's due, Carl. He doesn't budge. The ramp's staring at his phone in his lap. What's the matter with you? You look fine. Can you just stop putting a spotlight on me, dude? What? He idly taps at his phone, though he's just blankly flipping through screens at the moment. Carl. The ram pushes open the car door and steps out, looking away from me. Alright, thank you. It's acting absolutely bizarre. Part of me hopes this is just a weird side effect of the edibles from this morning. We'll talk later, okay? Carl sniffs, shrugging his shoulders. He's trying to act nonchalant. Sure, dude. What do you want me to do? I do my best attempt at a reassuring smile, for Carl's sake. I don't really feel too cheery at the moment, though. Well, first we should get the tripod and camera out of the trunk. We can get some B-roll of the building while we're here. The camera's kept separate in the padded hard case, so you can get the tripod set up with the camera on it. I'm going to head inside, say hello, and get permission to film real quick. I pop the trunk with a button on my keys. Carl looks toward the equipment with a thin-lipped expression. Okay. There's a bubble lever on the tripod. Just make sure the bubble is in the centre circle when you set it up. That means it's level. That way our shot won't be all crooked. Once it's good, you just slide the camera so it's hooked into place on the back of the stand. Make sure that it clicks. That means it's locked. Carl digs his paws into the insides of his hoodie, still staring into the trunk. Okay, I'll be right back. Leaving Carl, I head toward the front door. I'm still not sure what's up with him, but pressing him on it now doesn't seem like a good idea. Stepping into City Hall, the first thing I notice is how dry the air feels, like there's no ventilation to speak of. Makes me feel like I'm standing inside a really slow baking oven. Half of me wants to run out and jump into the first body of water I can find, while the other half just wants to curl up into a ball and nap. A faint drone of a voice on a speaker is audible. It sounds like some sort of outdoorsy hunting and fishing podcast. Chase? Flynn's tall, leering form emerges from one of the doorways, stack of envelopes in hand. We stare at each other a few seconds. The reality of what we've done with one another is hanging pretty poignantly in the air. Hey. He exhales, his demeanour shifting. His raised shoulders going more lax and his tail settles on the musty carpeted floor. What? He looks back to one of the doorways beside him, then back to me, his scaled brow furrowed. For a moment my mind blanks, I'm not sure what to do with my paws. It's really stuffy in here. Flynn looks at me questioningly. The only people who work here are reptiles. We keep the habitat all dry and such. His gaze shifts back to the doorway again before returning to me. There's something you want. I'm pretty busy. I clear my throat, cross my arms over my chest. Yeah, I was hoping to get permission to film around City Hall and take a look at some records. What record are you looking to go through? Well, I don't know. Flynn stares at me with an indiscernible expression. I'm just looking for anything I can use in my report. So I don't have a parcel number or date or anything, just want to, browse? Well, maybe you could point me in the right direction. You're the city clerk, after all. Flynn lets out a raspy exhale, moving to take a seat in his swivel chair at the front desk, his tail coiling around the base. Alright, the reading room is off limits on account of the monsoon season took out a portion of its roof cover last year. And set up in the mail room with a microfiche computer for the time being. He grasps the edge of his desk, staring at the tips of his fingers. Need to check with the mayor to see what all you got access to. Flynn's about to stand up again when the Gila steps in the room. She's slightly overweight and decked out in khaki shorts with a matching outdoorsy button-up top. Despite being indoors, she dons a large sun hat, also khaki, with a vibrant floral bandana around her neck. This must be the mayor, Flynn's aunt. I thought I heard another voice in here. I catch wind of her perfume, a strong, sweet pea scent that seems to fill the room. Her slitted blue-green eyes focus in on me. It's almost like she's sizing me up. Are you from the Grants Committee? I pause, quickly shake my head. No, sorry. She visibly seems to deflate, her brow lowering and her eyelids drooping to a half-lidded lull. I'm Chase, Flynn's friend. That's so. Another one then. She looks over towards Flynn, who is currently rubbing his temple. He responds quickly. An old friend. Childhood. You met Chase before, I'm pretty sure. He's seen him around town. She seems to think for a moment before a look of realization comes to her. Oh, I almost didn't recognize you with that thing on your chin. I most certainly remember you. I blink, reaching up and covering my goatee instinctively. You're the one who's always palling around with the Red Wolf fellow, Leo, weren't you? A gay couple, right? I chuckle a bit sheepishly, nodding. Having spent the past 3 years at Pueblo, not as used to people talking about me like this as I once was. Yeah, sort of. I mean, yes. She exchanges a glance with Flynn, who's looking a bit tense. Chase is doing a school project in the town, wants access to records we got on hand. You've heard requests from yet? No, just wants to browse, I guess. Well, it's only public record stuff they want to take a look at. You have to go through the process. Usually requests are just for a parcel at a time. What sort of school project is this for, Chase? Well, I'm a journalism major at the University of Pueblo. I have to create a documentary-style video report on something. I chose Echo. Ah, you aren't aiming to smear us to the general public then, are you? Her tone suggests she's joking, but she has that same intense look that Flynn has where I can't really tell for sure. No, Mia. You know, we have a grant application we're interested in putting out that requires a video entry detailing the sites around town. Would you be interested in that sort of thing? Oh, well, maybe. I don't know. I guess I'd have to know more about the project. Honestly, I can't imagine the sheer amount of sugarcoat I need to muster to create a positive report about this place. I'll fill this out. Flynn is pushing a form across the desk my way. The mayor clears his throat. Chase, when asked for a lot parcel request, you can just put all inventory. All right, will do. So I take a pen from Flynn and begin to write. I see him look up to his aunt. All inventory? Yes. All right, then. He huffs idly. The podcasters on Flynn's computer speakers are going into detail about creating complex fish nets and trappings. I'll leave you two boys to it then. Welcome back to Echo, Chase. It's good to be back. Flynn subtly rolls his eyes, turning back to his computer. The Major smiles while heading back to what I assume was her office. I finish up the form in silence, pushing it back toward Flynn. He squints at it for a moment before speaking. Any word from Leo? The topic change catches me off guard. Look up to see Flynn leaning in close, his voice lowered. Yeah, he believes the whole spending the night at Carl's story. Carl went along with it? Uh-huh. I ended up telling him the whole truth, though. I guess I just started feeling real shit about all this lying. Flynn leans back in his chair suddenly, clenching his eyes shut tight. He opens his mouth like he's going to say something, but merely shakes his head. Chase, you fucking realise that when this week is over, you just get to go back to college land. I'm stuck here with the result of all your shitty choices. You know Carl as well as I do. You wouldn't go telling Leo to start drama. Anyway, he saw us, by a truck. Flynn's eyes open. He just stares at the ceiling for a long moment. Oh, fuck it. Let's get your musky ass set up with a goddamn county guest login so you can access our GIS maps. He scoots back over towards his computer, needing to type something in. I catch a glimpse of his desktop wallpaper. It looks like some sort of waterfall surrounded by a lush evergreen forest. Kind of blurry, like a smaller image stretched to the fit of screen size. You also see a few transparent stock image logos overlaid on top. Got physical records, the real old ones stored in the mailroom. I wouldn't say this shit there is very browsable. Some religious historical society types came by 8 months ago and helped us archive a lot of it. They're all in the labelled manila folders along the south wall. Flynn turns back to the computer, pecking at the keyboard. For a clerk, he's not remotely a fast typer. Oh damn, I've got to ask for permission to film here. Flynn grunts. Mission granted. Go do that while I get this fucking thing working. Glancing back at his screen, I see incorrect password. 2 remaining entries before lockout. Flash up. After looking at his keyboard, it takes me only a couple of seconds to figure out what's wrong. Flynn? What? He snapped at me. I can see his pointed teeth between his scaled lips for a moment. You have caps lock on. Flynn pounds the caps lock key with some extra force before returning back to his typing. Thanks, now fuck off for a bit. I stared at him and can't help but feel a twisting sensation in my chest. I'm not sure if I expected him to treat me differently after doing what we did, but I definitely didn't think he'd treat me worse. I tried to think up something to say to make this right, make this not awkward as it seems to be getting. Yet the longer I sit here, the more uncomfortable he seems to get. Guess I'm just literally leering at him like a creep right now. Fuck. I get up and head out, deciding keeping my mouth shut is the best course of action for the time being. As I step outside, the first thing I see is Carl down on his knees in the gravel, the tripod upright beside him. His large shoulders are shaking some. I can hear rough swears in between his shuffling movements. Carl? Carl's shuffling stops. The ram turns his head to look at me, the whites of his eyes looking like the colour of bubblegum. Guess he wasn't sobering as much as I thought he was. Fuck, dude, I'm sorry, fuck. It just slipped and shit because the thing is too hard to put on. It won't lock? There's no click. As I approach, I see my camera splayed out in front of him and the gravel on its side. Carl's clutching a snapped-off battery in his paw. Oh, Jesus. Carl, you dropped it? It wouldn't turn on. This thing fell off. He holds up the battery case and I quickly take it from him, beginning to try to fasten it back on. I'm real fucking sorry, man. I'll pay for it and everything. And I can write a note to your teacher saying it's my fault that... Snap. The battery locks into place on the back of the camera. With a tentative sigh, I flip on the power. The digital display flashes a light through the viewfinder and I look back up at Carl. His jaw is slack, his expression vacant, almost gormless. It's fine. Looks like nothing's broken or cracked. He rubs his sizable paw across his eyes and muzzle, closing his mouth. The flickering wave of relief that appears in his eyes seems to quickly dissipate, however. Oh, guess it wasn't broken. No, the battery disconnected from the camera when it slid off the tripod. They're designed to come off. Like I do it all the time to recharge them. He just kneels there, rubbing his face as he stares at the equipment. Carl, this isn't that hard. He's quiet for a second. Yeah, I know it isn't. He pushes himself back up to his hooves. Look, all you gotta do when you're trying to attach your camera to the tripod is slide it in the existing groove. Right here. I point to the two beveled edges on the base. Then bring it in from the backside and... Dude, I just don't think I'm up for this right now. He's looking back towards my car, his paws in his pockets. Fine, I got this, I guess. Yeah, I just get in the way here. I give Carl a look. I know he's not obligated to help or anything, but Jesus Christ. He dips his head, trudging his way back toward the car. With a sigh, I start setting up the remaining equipment myself. It takes me about 15 minutes to get it all put together and the colour white balanced. Even still, the gravel parking lot makes it difficult to adequately line up my shot. Everything ends up looking slightly crooked. I know I can probably fix it all in post. That's more work for me that I'm not looking forward to. Carl, meanwhile, has his eyes glued to his phone. Looks like he found a pair of earbuds because he's got those in too. Refocusing, I take a stock of the footage I've got from here so far. The midday sun means our recordings are all pretty much well lit. Rather than think that a sunset would be more symbolic. Maybe I'll come back later. I don't know. My phone vibrates in my shorts. Grabbing it, say I've got a new message from Leo. Jenna and TJ playing football. I'm assuming he means soccer, but I decide now isn't the time to press him on a word choice. Sounds fun. Film with Carl and Flynn here. I slide my phone in my pocket, locking the trunk of my car so I can start putting away all this equipment. After closing the trunk, I realize now that Flynn standing in the City Hall entry with his arms crossed, staring furrow-browed at my vehicle. Oh, fuck, it's Carl here just sitting in the car. I throw up my arms and shrug. Damn, his eyes. Fucking stoned off his rocker, ain't he? Flynn is squinting the window at the ram, who seems to barely acknowledge his presence. He ate too much of an edible this morning, apparently. Flynn looks at me, then back to Carl. Probably the best you stay in the car then. Come on. He turns, heading back inside. I follow, catching a glimpse of Carl sinking down in his seat. Flynn leads me through the narrow hallways, the ceiling laden with visible old piping and the walls covered in dents and scratches. Eventually we turn to a colourful room that looks like a mix between an old post office and a kindergarten classroom. Alright, like I said, archive files are in the back along the south wall. Computer in the corner is logged into the county's GIS viewer. Maps and shit, basically. He points to a cream-coloured computer that must be from around the early 2000s by the look of the make. It's just visible on the top of the tower. Oh, so like where the native burial grounds and that sort of thing are. Flynn crosses his arms, looking back down at me. Yeah, no. As far as I know, the Maseta tribal government has put forth any sacred site claims within miles of Echo. Wow, really? Really? Why is that? I have a whiff of shit's worth of a clue or care. Ask Jen, you want to be all weird about it. I don't think he has much ties to a tribe. Yeah, I didn't stop her from being a bitch about it whenever she's fit. Flynn sucks in his cheeks, if saying that left a bit of an unpleasant taste in his mouth. Flynn speaking less than kindly towards folks isn't anything new, but not usually about Jenna. He looks down at some papers in his hands if they suddenly were very interesting. Is this about what she said when you got Carl the lighter from the reservation? His slitted eyes flipped back up to me, his lips thinned. You thought that was bullshit too, right? Well, I think she's just still in, I don't know, den mother mode with regard to TJ after what you did. If I don't get everyone talking again, you should just apologise. There's a pause in the conversation as cloud cover shades of light coming in from the window. Not just about the lighter crap. She didn't give a shit about me, she really didn't give a shit about Sydney. I blink. I'm still amazed at how much his name has been mentioned after all these years of silence on the subject, especially from Flynn. He catches my expression and grunts, the heel resting the side of his hip against the sorting counter. When he died, all she fussed about was how it affected TJ. Sid could rot for all she cared. It's not fair. We were kids and people react to that sort of traumatic stuff differently. Maybe helping TJ is what kept her occupied. Oh yeah? Remember a few months before it happened when all that shit was going with Sid's dad. And fucking Jenna, all she did was try to shield TJ from all the negativity in the situation. She tried to help, but he was different. I don't know, fuck, we were just kids. No, she fucking hated Sydney. Carl hated Sydney. Leo hated Sydney. TJ would never fucking admit it, but he hated Sydney. And you hated Sydney. He looks me in the eyes now. I'm quiet for a moment, trying to think of what to say. Flynn, meanwhile, just looks expectant, seemingly waiting for me to blanch and try to defend myself. Sydney was an asshole. He raises his chin some. His crossed arms seem to squeeze more tightly over his chest. Yeah, so am I. No, not like him. Nobody knew him like I did. You said that. Doesn't mean the crap he pulled on us on TJ was in any way justified. Pretty sure he generally enjoyed watching people get hurt. Flynn stares slack-jawed before quickly gritting his teeth. You liked wrestling, you liked pirates, you liked poppy adventure shit, but you did not like hurting people. TJ cried every day no matter what. You could see a dead fly on a windowsill and start bawling. You all would rob everything and come rushing to his aid, scoring the shit of anybody who didn't. We couldn't make jokes, we couldn't tease each other, we couldn't roughhouse, we couldn't even fucking swear without TJ getting upset. So we could just go hang out with someone else. This is Echo, and Leo is fucking dead set on keeping the group together. So now the group for Leo essentially consists of two members, your ass and his cock. I frown deeply. Rather than interject, he continues. When Sydney died, you all convinced yourselves he was this fucking monster kid so they didn't have to hurt as much. I ain't gonna apologise. Fucking hell, they should. Flynn uncrosses his arms, staring some out the sole window of the cramped mailroom. The cloud cover lifts. I'll be at the front desk. If you take something, always put it back where you found it. He turns, making his way back down the narrow hall. I'm left alone. Everything feels really quiet now. A sort of weird solace amidst the shelves upon shelves of Echo's history. I rub my face and muzzle, spinning a whisker as the previous conversation plays back in my head, begins to fade like a passing dream. With a slow exhale, I turn and head over to the archives. They all seem to be categorised by numbers like 105-66-009 or 107-21-001. I grab a random file off the shelf, 106-01-001. Flipping it open, I see a cluster of 15 or so papers and permits for a place called Adelaide's Thrift and Pawn. It sounds familiar. It only takes me a little bit more perusing to figure out why. Near the exit from Route 93 to Flint Road, there's this faded old shack of a rotten wood. Growing up, all that's left of the sign out front was Adelaide's Thrift. I think it's bulldozed now, though, since I didn't see it on the drive-in. According to these documents, Adelaide Vonberg applied for and successfully obtained a business license and deed to the property in 1979. I'm guessing these folders correspond to a piece of property within Echo or a parcel. I help some, but I'm still not sure exactly where to look. Put the file away and move over towards the computer Flynn got ready for me. The screen displays an aerial photograph of Echo, with little polygons drawn over it like a bizarre checkerboard. Clicking on one, nothing happens. I click again, the pointer turns into an hourglass, the program stating it's not responding. Damn it. As the hourglass rolls on the screen, I think I hear the front door open down the hall. First I wonder if it's Carl, but then a voice speaks I don't recognise, then Flynn's. I can only make out a little what he says. That's what I told you at the county office? You could have come here. The hourglass spins. Incorporation. It shouldn't affect developers who... Finally, a little window pops up, listing owner, address, parcel number, links to building plans and other fields. Slow as hell, but this is actually kinda neat, I guess. Curious, I scroll over to the location of my old house and click. This time I react a little faster. All complaint forms are physical, not much of an online presence. It's currently listed as abandoned and condemned. It looks like the people my parents sold it to ditched it rather quickly. I move back toward the archive, picking up my old house's corresponding file and setting it down on the counter. Opening it, I see a weathered floor plan of my old house dating back to 1986. Nothing here could remotely be considered of interest to my project, however. I put the file back where I found it. As I hear the increasingly quiet rasp of Flynn's voice near the room, I realise he's probably too busy to hold my hand with regards to where to look. Especially after the previous conversation, it might be best to just give him some space. I stare at the aerial display on the computer monitor, trying to figure out where to start looking. After finding the parcel number in the GIS thing, I can't seem to find the corresponding file to it. It's like it doesn't exist in any records here. Or it might just be misplaced. I'm going to go over the second theory. Maybe I'll ask Flynn about it later. There's something about the old mine that feels off to me. And like pretty much every locale in Echo, the mine is the one place we absolutely did not play. Sydney tried to make one of our scavenger hunt objectives down in there once, but TJ told his mom about it and that was the end of that. After looking at the parcel number, I retrieved the corresponding file and laid out on the mail counter. This one has an archival notice attached to the front. I guess my hunch might be right. Opening the file, the first thing I notice is there is a seriously large amount of documents here, even a laminated old photo. Huh. That's a hell of a lot more verdant than it is these days. Might have to do with the damming they did up north in the 50s. I'm guessing the CM 1915 is referring to the year the photo was taken. Within the folder itself, many of the documents seem to be legal in nature, including documentation about a lawsuit of some sort. The ones on top seem to relate to that tourism program Echo tried a decade ago. There's a few papers about a historical heritage grant, the installation of a bench and 2 lamps outside the mine's entrance. There's even reference to a large placard installed at the side of the rock face outside, but I don't remember ever seeing that. Following this, there's another folder within that contains some condemned notices and squatter evictions dating from 1970 to 1975. Said folder also notes a work order for the installation of rebar bars in the mine front to prevent entry in 1976. Next is the actual lawsuit documentation itself. The lawsuit contributed in part to the official closing of the mine during the war in 1942. The working conditions were abysmal, and the owners of the mine were also heavily involved in town government, so there were corruption charges. The Danica mine, also known as the CSCG, copper silver gold mine, was the most in-demand employer in the northern portion of the state for decades. This was in little part due to management by the owners, rather than natural conditions of the mine itself. The structure of the bedrock kept cave-ins unlikely, and its chemical composition kept the temperature stable and somewhat bearable. Flooding was of minor concern due to the low water table of the region. At the mines within the slate, miners may have been expected to stand in 2 feet of dirty water in 40-degree temperatures, all while the threat of a cave-in loomed, amplified every strike of the sledgehammer. Yet even still, the mine managed to have one of the highest casualty rates of its workers in all the southwest. The student argues this was at root due to severe negligence by the owner, Gregory Briggs. Mines were required to buy their own tools, including candles, sledges, picks, stakes, and even dynamite. Their wages, however, were of such little amount that many miners must have been forced to choose between having these tools and their family being able to eat that week. Many chose the latter, as most men who moved to Echo did so with the explicit purpose of being able to provide for said families. Briggs operated the mine under constant fear of worker unionisation. To assuage this, he hired an incredibly nationally diverse assortment of workers. His rationale, though denied in court, was to ensure that no group of workers spoke the same language, thus reducing the chance for collaboration, for better working conditions or wages. This preventative action was particularly heinous due to the nature of the work itself. Communication was crucial, especially in the low light conditions or lower depths. Despite the language barrier, miners were expected to coordinate dangerous group mining procedures. For example, for standard ore extraction, one miner would hold a spike to the mine wall, while the miner swung the sledge toward the spike. With light sources being scarce, this meant the risk of striking near the miner with the sledge was a constant risk, and something that occurred with some frequency. Many miners were crippled from blows to the paws or arms, then once fired were unable to support their families. This led to several notable starvation incidents within the town. The lawsuit documents also include reference to a brief riot in 1915 where a grisly murder took place within the mines itself. I make sure to write summaries of all this information down the blank sheet of printer paper before putting everything back. It's this sort of crap that makes me glad I live in the age I do now. I don't think I make a very good miner. Alright, that's that I guess. City Hall has a lot of history. I assume most of the really old stuff is on file, but I'd be curious to see what's there regardless. After looking at the parcel number, I retrieved the corresponding file and laid it out on the mail counter. This one has an archival notice attached to the front. That's good. Hopefully that means there's supplemental information in here. Unfortunately, upon opening the file, I see there aren't that many documents. There is, however, a marked photo of some sort wedged between the folder edges. Whoa! If that reads the date of origin in the top right corner, this photo of these guys was taken at City Hall 100 years ago. I look back down to the folder, finding a caption note for the image. Sheriff William Adler left, and Wensleydale researcher Cliff Tibbetts right, at town meeting to discuss Echo-Meseta tribe relations. Adler. I just realised now that's Janice's last name. Must be a distant relative of hers. The rest of the documents in the folder just seem to consist of proposed additions and use changes to the building. A lot of them didn't pan out. There's a city government roster here though. It's the historical election results of the town going back to early 20th century. Surprisingly, Flynn and his aunt aren't the only Moore I see on this list. Looks like the Moore family has been involved in public office in some capacity as far back as 1914. Which is doubly surprising, noticing the prejudice against reptilians is pretty heavy back then. There's this whole negative stereotype about them being evil and controlling the government that persists even today. So it's pretty weird that a family like the Moores managed to keep getting elected back when the ignorance levels were much higher. I'm making a note to ask Flynn about it, as sensitively as possible. I go ahead and put everything back in the folder before returning it to the shelf. So what next? I know enough about Carl's family to know that this house is seriously old. His great something or other is the town founder after all. The place has been seriously modernised into more stucco adobe style. There's some history underneath all that. Growing up, Carl overheard all this, started thinking the place was haunted. Freaked him out pretty badly. So much so his parents basically begged me to have sleepovers with him during the weekends and even some weekdays. Well, I minded, of course. Carl had all the video game consoles that are out. His parents bought him M-rated games. I got to stay up late with his giant TV, blowing up aliens and running over hookers. I remember he started to become less afraid as time went on. His parents stopped asking for me to come over as much. So of course, shitbag younger me told Carl a bunch of stories about a ghost bride who I said I saw standing outside his house at midnight. And that's how I got to spend my whole 5th grade summer vacation living at Carl's place. After looking at the parcel number, I retrieved the corresponding file and laid it out on the mail counter. This one has an archival notice attached to the front. That's pretty surprising on account that it's a residential lot. Opening the folder, a photo placed in front of all the documents immediately catches my attention. Wow. Part of my mind immediately flashes back to Leo, but even he wasn't any close to being this defined. Guess life in the early 20th century will do that to you. I should probably read the caption note for this that was attached to. Sheriff William had the rest after surviving the partial collapse of the Hendricks Castle. The Hendricks Castle? Below the note some rather old rudimentary building plans, crumbling at the edges. The penmanship is all weird cursive and I can't read it. It does look a little like Carl's house, but much, much larger. What follows a series of deed transfers from various members of the Hendricks family, eventually more modern building plans. There's even a cutout from a magazine, Southwestern Modern, which shows off the kitchen space back when it was first redesigned. And there's something wedged in the back, a beige piece of paper that doesn't look like anything else in here. A poem? Why would this be in here? Embrace of these lands, Boyk. As black takes the sky, hot turns to cold, the safety of ignorance from the spectres of the day. Shut their eyes, they wail, for the dark blanket and to save them from a hell, and the blonde tarantula pulls itself from the depths, wrought within and without, in search of a suitor who will not live past the vehemence of its love. I flip over the poem, set it down the counter. On the other side is a notice of death for reference in the estate transfer. It's for a James Hendricks, who passed away in 1913. The cause of death is listed as poison/infection. Theraphosidae, tarantula. It's pretty unsettling. I didn't think tarantulas were poisonous. I mean, I know they aren't because I fear searched that information online one night and seen it on my back porch at 3 a.m. Guess that poem was some sort of informal epitaph for this guy. Regardless, it's a shitty way to die. I slide the poem/death notice back into the folder, make note of it for the project. I think that's all for this parcel, so I place the folder back in its slot on the south wall. As I turn around, I see the mayor standing in the doorway. She's peering at me quizzically. A little startled, I straighten up. Oh, hi Mayor, I was just finishing up. She's watching me speak, like staring at my mouth, not my eyes. It's honestly freaking me out a little. She doesn't respond. Mayor? I'll make sure you put everything back where you found it. Oh yeah, don't worry, I did that already. Did you now? She steps in the room and picks up a folder from the edge of the counter. I recognise it as one for the abandoned mines. Oh, yeah, yes, I forgot that one, sorry. She stands there with the folder held out, waiting for me. I quickly move and take the folder. I try to ignore the hard stare I feel on my back as I walk to the archive wall. The far left end, second covey from the top. Oh, thank you, I didn't... Looks like Flynn's about ready to take off. Are you going to give him some company? The way she phrases that makes me reconsider a hasty response. Sure, I can hang out with him and his roommate. You have a boy in your car? I blink. I have a Carl in my car, yes. You wanted to hang back while I did all the work. I feign a chuckle, though not very well. I've never been very good at that whole smiling with your eyes thing. Carl Hendricks. Yes. Have a good rest of your evening, Chase. Thank you, Mayor. You too. She moves on down the hall. After a moment, I follow suit to meet up with Flynn at the front desk. So, I'm going to leave Echo there for now before they head back. And we'll return to it hopefully before too long. I don't want to leave such a long gap next time. We'll see how things go. So I hope you're enjoying this run through Echo. Say once we've finished Flynn's route, we'll carry on to Jenna's. So by the time that's done, we'll have everything but the bad endings recorded. And that's quite a lot of work. And next week we'll be having Chenye on the weekend, and Ethan's Reach has got a short update. I'm going to try and do that in the week. If I don't do it in the week, it'll be the following week, definitely. So we'll try and get that one done as well. So a couple of new things coming up for you there. And as always, before I go, I want to say thank you to all my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. You really help the channel out. And as always, mention to my top donors: Andy Peng, Aaron Fox, Bastian, Baker, Brian Hall, Gopus Visser, Dissonance, Exact, Grizz, Harvest Mouse Productions, Evan King, Kartek, McKenya, Gracious Yevon, Lark Huskerton, Greylock, Aram Atarasu, Tiger Cub, Samuto, Spiderling, Rafu, and Omar. So, my special thanks to them, and thanks to you for watching. This has been another episode of Echo. Bye for now.